Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Matt with Green Bar Trading here. Welcome back to another weekly watch list video where we're going to go over everything you need to know for the week ahead in the stock market. Up here on the screen is your earnings for this coming week. We are at the beginning of earnings season, which always starts with the banks and the airlines. So we see that continuation this week with a couple of tech stocks sprinkled in for you guys. So that's going to be on Wednesday. You have Tesla and Netflix for the tech. So that's your earnings right up there. All right, so going over to our economic calendar, I want to go back to last week because what we saw on Thursday really seemed to move the markets in a negative way. That's the CPI. It came in at 3.7%. Expectations were 3.6%. Came in higher than expected. Not great for the overall market, and the Fed having to keep rates higher for longer. You know, that same old thing that we've been hearing. So anyway, the volume came in pretty heavy on Thursday and then again on Friday. Saw two really not so great days, all because of the CPI and the Fed. So that happened last week. Looking at the economic calendar for this coming week right now, we have retail sales here on Tuesday. I want to see how the consumer's doing. Now, keep in mind, this is heavy earnings season, all right? Watch those reports. Watch the guidance that they're showing. I want to see how the consumer's doing. How healthy are they, all right? With interest rates having moved so high so fast, it is definitely going to affect the consumer, okay? People are paying more interest on their credit cards, their auto loans, mortgage rates are higher. So, and then you have the start of paying back student loans again. These people have not been paying them for a while. So you have higher prices than normal. You saw the CPI, and things can get a little tricky, okay? So what I'm looking at in these reports, I want to hear how their forward guidance is looking, how that consumer is looking, all right? So that's the retail sales there on Tuesday. You have the Fed Beige Book on Wednesday and a lot of Fed speakers, all right? This week is heavy with a lot of Fed speak, all right? So that's your economic calendar right there. Going over to our sectors and their performance on the week. All right. You saw energy, utilities, real estate. So basically, you're seeing a rotation back into those defensive stocks, those defensive ETFs. All right. A lot of that is because of, the war, some things going over on in Israel with Hamas and all that. So that is definitely going to spike some of those defensive plays. But if you go back and we take a look here, you can see the year to date, you have technology, communication services, that's your Metas, your Googles, that type of stuff. And then you have those defensive names really have not done well. All right. There is a very big chance that, you see the technology stocks really come under pressure as the QQQ is up almost 38% for the year. All right. If you do see a slowdown with the economy, with the consumer, you're going to start to see this rotation that we're seeing here, looking at the weekly performance. All right. Where technology takes a back seat again and you get those defensive stocks to perform. So just keep in mind, watch the volume, watch those earnings reports, but that's your sectors right there. All right, so now going over to our compass, the SPY. This is the S&P 500 ETF. For those that don't know, I'm going to go over what indicators I have on here. If you're just watching for the first time, I have the 200-day moving average. I have the 50 and then the 20 EMA. This one I use for momentum, right? So if the market's really looking good, even on the downside, but if it's looking good, a lot of times those first couple pullbacks will be to the 20 EMA. All right. I also look at volume. I'm really, really into volume, especially where has volume been? Where has it taken place? Where can there be support? So you can see down here, this 410 area, this is the point of control. This is where a lot of volume has taken place in the past year of trading. All right. So what I see is, when we were doing these videos a couple of weeks ago, the market's up here. I said, we have a vacuum to fill here. There hasn't been much volume. The market came back down to that 420 level. You must have heard me say it so many times that I think we're going to come down to this 200-day moving average. We've done that, started to bounce. Now that bounce is because of a couple of things. So what I look at is the RSI. If you have extremely oversold conditions, the odds of a bounce are very high. Same thing if you have overbought conditions. You'll see a lot of overbought conditions here will turn into some selling. That's the way the market works. It doesn't just go straight up or straight down. So when something does come straight down and it's very oversold, the market will bounce. Now, what happened here was the market was oversold right into the 200-day moving average. This is a trader's dream right here to take a long position for a trade, not for long term, but just for a trade here. So you had multiple confluences there, oversold at a very key indicator, which will normally be support in an uptrend, which is what we're in. But that's what we see now. What I do notice is when you're looking at volume, a lot of these red days are on a lot higher volume than on the green days. That's suggesting to me institutional players getting out of positions. So you're going to want to take a look at that. Earnings season is also, very interesting. You could see some pretty big moves, like we saw with the VIX on Friday. Huge move up, huge move up. When that goes up, the market is coming down. And that's what we started to see on Friday. So going over to the QQQ, something that I pointed out last week was we're in this new trend, right? So we were making higher highs, higher lows on the NASDAQ. It started to make that first low, right? So instead of a higher high, it made a lower low than back here, and then a lower high, right? Then a lower low, and then a lower high. It hit this trend line that we drew out last week, pretty much to the penny on Thursday, and pulled back. We're now at the point of control. A lot of volume has taken place here. Looking at the chart, right? We could not hold the 50-day moving average. Doesn't mean, it is definitely a bearish sign. And with the trend change, it's bearish. But I'm not going to go ahead and just say we're going to come down, a huge amount right away. But we did see a pattern change. And what's scary about this is there is a whole bunch of air under this market. A lot of volume has taken place here. If we start to lose this, the NASDAQ can fall a pretty decent amount. Not saying that that's going to happen. It's just what I see here with the technicals. I could be wrong, but this is what I'm seeing, right? You saw that trend change. Now we're in a different trend. This is now coming down. It's a little bit bearish. The RSI has been making, that series of lower lows, lower highs, all the way back from the summer. And then you have this huge gap here for the year with the 200 moving average. Like we saw with the SPY, the market came down and tested that 200-day moving average. So that's something that I'm keeping an eye on with the QQQ. All right, taking a look at the VIX, this is what I was saying. All year long, we were really, holding off pretty low, and we saw a rally, right? Had support down here. Now we're starting to see that spike back out to levels that we haven't seen, before back in, the summer, early summer, back to March. So I'm definitely watching this. Like I said on Friday, when we opened up the VIX down here in the 16s and started to go up, I was definitely very bearish. When I saw the market going up, I said, you know what? The VIX going up like this, I have a feeling the market's going to be going down. I took a short position on Friday and had a decent gain. All right. So I like to watch these correlations here. VIX is going up. The market should be pulling back. All right. So that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed the quick weekly watch list video. Hit the thumbs up, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.